This video will be called Thompson Dake 1. And when we're finished with all of them, they will go in the Bible folder. Now, I've talked about both of these before, but what I'm going to do now is do a little bit of comparison between them because they are, each of them, if this is the Thompson Chain Reference Bible, and the other one is the Dake Annotated Reference Bible. Thompson Chain Reference and Dake Annotated Reference Bible. The reason I'm comparing them is because they are very similar in a lot of ways. These two Bibles probably have, among all the Bibles that I do have, the largest amount of information in them. They're not only like a Bible, like an encyclopedia. There are all kinds of things in both. That's why I'm going to do a little comparison. I'm only going to do a comparison on a small part of each because there is so much in each, and I can hardly show you them in form because, as you can see, I have so many little places to look at in there and so forth, as you can see. So that's the Thompson Chain Reference Bible. And as you've seen the Dake Bible before, and I've got that marked up as well. So we're going to do this today, starting with the Gospel of John, because that is a good starting point to compare both of them. So if I start today with the Thompson Chain Reference Bible, we will do that first, and then we will go to the Dake Bible. So when we begin, we're going to begin with the Gospel of John in the Thompson Chain Reference Bible. Now, as I've showed you before, what the Thompson Chain Reference Bible does is it begins with the chain references right away. Now, St. John, the first chapter 1, he calls the divinity of Jesus Christ. That's how he talks about it. Then everything on the side, left side of where this happens, and it's in two columns and then on the right side, are his chain references. So chapter 1, the divinity of Christ. Okay, and then the first thing it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So what do you have here? Christ the Word, and then Christ eternal, and then Christ divine, and so forth. Now, he was, the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made. In him was life, and life was the light of men, and so forth. So in that first section, we've got all this stuff about Christ, Christ the Word, Christ eternal, Christ divine, pre-existence of Christ, Christ creator. Now, that takes us through only 3 verses. And in this Thompson Chain Reference Bible, on the left-hand side, you will have another place to go in the Bible next. It takes you through chain references. That takes where you are into the next part of the Bible in the future, so you will get all of that when you read it. But also on the very left of each of these are numbers that refer you to what is actually what you would say, dictionary concordance of the Bible, for example. So you use those numbers, for example, to go to what you're talking about. For example, the first one is Christ the Word, and that says go to number 700. So if I turn over to that next section, which is that encyclopedia, go to 700, it says the Word. And then it says in the margin, John 1:1, John 1:14, 1 John 1:1, 1 John 5:7, Revelation 19:13. For other names and titles, see titles. Then if you go there, you will see all the titles of Christ. Now that's just number 70. Now, if we're in this section of this encyclopedia in the Thompson Chain Reference Bible, you can go backwards from 70 all the way back to numbers before 70, where you get to Jesus Christ, which is number 677, and then you get the Anointed One, his ascension with all the scripture to it, the blood of Christ with all references to that. Then you go to the next section, the Creator, all references to it, all the scripture, the cries of Christ, the glories of Christ, and all of those that are in there. And then you get to the glory of Christ, and then you get to the miscellaneous topics as well. So, and among the miscellaneous topics, for example, you could go to how he is a prophet and where that is told. I mean, all of that is just about Christ. Then you get to where we were at 700. Then you go to 701, Christ's divinity, humanity. Then you've got all kinds of references for that, and then divine names and so on. So you can see just that much is only referring to that first number on the first line, number 70. Now, we can go into detail with each of those, but just let me stop there without going further in this. And then we will, on the next one, we'll go to the Dake Bible, and we will just pick up from there and compare them before we go any further.